New Luvafoodie iced tea. 4 clean drinking iced tea flavors. Lemon lovers, passion fruit lovers, raspberry lovers, and blood orange lovers iced tea. Eat clean, be well and stay well with our clean eating spice blends at Luvafoodie.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Luvafoodie LinkedIn Live. I'm your host, Michelle Mazzara, and we've got a really sweet show for you today. I have Jennifer Steiner Poole from Steiner's Coffee Cake in New York City, in New York, and I'm happy to have you here, Jennifer. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. We are super excited to be on your show today.
Absolutely. Well, I was fortunate enough about a month ago, you sent me some samples, and I had to tell you, I had to freeze the coffee cake so I wouldn't eat them all. And I had to also freeze the little brownie bites so I wouldn't eat them all. What I really liked, first before we get into you, is I really liked the amount of cinnamon in this coffee cake. I was really impressed. There was a lot of cinnamon, and so that was really cool. So anyway, Jennifer, let's talk about you. What is Steiner's Coffee Cake? When did you start it? Tell me everything about Jennifer.
Oh my God, that's a really long story. I don't know.
We only have an hour.
Than you think. So I started Steiner's Coffee Cake in New York in 2016 with my mother and brother. My grandfather was a baker and a chef by hobby, not by trade. He was also an orchidist and loved to do lots of things, including sharing his food at LIJ, which is the big hospital here on Long Island, now Northwell. And one of his signature things was coffee cake. He made our family sour cream coffee cake all the time. He just loved it. And his saying was, if it doesn't taste good, just add more butter. We don't actually do that today. We stick to the actual recipe, but that was one of his trademarks. So coupled with the fact that my mom was diagnosed with celiac, I don't know, before anyone knew how to spell celiac, like 40 years ago. And she wanted to eat everything he was making, but she couldn't because it was gluten full. So she was a science teacher. And I think that sort of motivated her to go deep in the kitchen and experiment and try to figure out how to create a flour that was so good you would never know what you were eating is gluten-free. That was her gating issue. If she couldn't do it, we were never going to discuss this. And then roll forward a gazillion years later, it seems like, and she served us a coffee cake, and I was like, Mom, this is it. I'm quitting my job. I'm starting this company. We are doing this. You have something. You're never too old. Like, we have to make this happen. She was furious because she did not want me to quit my job. And she had not written anything down that she had done. So I said, back to the drawing board. You're a science teacher. You should be taking notes as you go. So she redid it. We were sifting flour constantly in her kitchen, trying to figure out the whole thing. And then we did. And I said, we have to do it. First of all, everything on the market is basically made out of chemicals and fake food. And then if you layer in the need for something that's gluten-free and a sweet baked good, there's nothing. There is no real desserts, save for ice cream, of course, which there are some fabulous gluten-free ice cream brands on the market, but there's no sweet baked goods in the freezer section made with real ingredients, packaged sustainably, that people can enjoy. And coupled with the pain point we knew restaurateurs, proprietors, hospitality venues are having carrying gluten-free food, that they're concerned will go bad. If the products you carry are only barely good enough for a very small group of people, why are you going to buy them? Why are you going to carry them as a buyer at an Aramark or a Cisco? Or why would any of these companies want to carry products that they're going to be throwing out? Forget the food waste issue, which is near and dear to my heart. It doesn't make any economic sense. So we wanted to put a group of products on the market that anybody would eat. I mean, they are so good that if you're gluten-free, you better.
Jennifer, I didn't even know this was gluten-free. To be honest with you, when I first took a bite and started eating it, I was like, this is really good. I didn't even know it.
Do you know, I get calls every week from folks who are celiac saying, I'm calling to make sure this is gluten-free because it tastes way too good. And I don't believe that it is. So, and we're like, we're certified. I up and down all over the world. I promise you it is gluten-free. My mom is a celiac. It is gluten-free. And that's the proof for me. It doesn't, the first sale, I like to always say, and again, you're in the packaged good business, CPG, you know the deal. The first sale is not really the win. It's the third, fourth, and fifth sale to the same customer or the same person. That's when you know you're getting it right. It's the repeat order. So from a business perspective, that's what we're watching very closely. The health of the company. Do I want it to go stratospheric? Do I want to be already at $80 million and, you know, everyone's courting me to buy my little company? Yes, I want to be there yesterday.
Yes.
I can't get there that quickly. It takes capital, and you and I can talk about that and all those good things. So what I'm really looking at right now is the repeat order. If the product line is scalable and replicable and I can defend what makes us special, then we are on our way.
So Jennifer, what was your full-time job before you started your company? I'm just curious.
Well, immediately before, I was the executive director of actually a mental health foundation, which was doing a lot of work to help eradicate the stigma around mental health issues. And I loved it. And one of my mentors still today, Dave Byrne, sucked me into that job. And it was fantastic. And prior to that, I was at Dempsey and Carroll. So my professional career has really rotated around operations, marketing, and advertising. I always felt that those things created the perfect Venn diagram, if you want to talk business. And in the center of that was a sweet spot where I loved to work. I always found it interesting when in my professional career, especially in ad agencies, when the ad team and the marketing team had to work outside or separate from the ops team. And that really makes it tough to deliver messaging and a reason to believe that the company can live up to every day. And that's where I spent really the majority of my career, was right in the middle of that mix. And I absolutely loved it. I love what I do. I love it. I love getting up every morning. Every day is not easy, as you know. Some days I have to dig super deep to be smiling. You got to go deep. I know Carolyn from Java Melts, who you've spoken with, feels the same way. It's a lonely path.
It's extremely lonely. People don't realize how lonely it really is. I mean, I'm actually single too, and so it's even lonelier. It's very hard. I don't know. Sometimes I look in a crystal ball, I'm like, not sure I should have done this. Not sure. Waiting. You know, it's very, very challenging. And
it takes everything you have to do your job every day. And actually doing like 18 or 20 jobs. It's fulfilling. At the end of every day, I'm glad that I've worked as hard as I have, and I'm flat out exhausted. And I have to restart that emotional engine with 15 cups of coffee flavored with Java Melts every day. But I do love it. I made a commitment not to say but I came out. I do love it. I do.
You have to have the passion and the drive to love it, because it takes every day to be your own cheerleader, your own best friend, your own come on, let's go, your own everything. That's why I do these on Mondays, because we all need motivation for the week, even though Monday is the same as a Tuesday, as a Sunday, and a Saturday for me, because there's no difference. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about your company. So Jennifer, do you have any partners? Do you and your brother own it? Who owns the company?
So my brother and I currently own the company. We are in the middle of a Reg CF raise on Start Engine, which everyone can check out on startengine.com and just search for Steiners. And should that come to fruition, then of course, equity will be released to those investors. We are doing our raise in kind of a unique way. I feel very, very strongly, my brother supports my position, that we set a budget. The minimum budget is $250 for us to do a full launch into CPG retail space. If we don't hit that budget, then why would I take investors' money? I can't really activate the dollars they want to invest if I don't have the budget locked in. So buying pencils isn't going to get me there. So we have currently raised about $75,000 on Start Engine. Our floor is $250,000. We have 35 more days left to make that happen. If we don't raise the money, then everyone gets their money back. We have not taken any money out of the raise. It's sitting in escrow. And if we don't get where we need to be, then everyone will be refunded. It will be sad. And I will have to find another way to get capital to put against the company. We could do it. We have 35 days. I think we can do it, but we'll see.
So, okay, let me ask you a few things, because I have never done a fundraiser or, like raise money. I would like to have some money, investors out there. And it's very challenging because you put everything in your own savings, your own everything. And it gets to the point where you can't do it anymore. You just can't. And I think we're all, after a few years, at least at the point that I'm at, something has to happen. So how did you choose the platform that you did? Because there's crowdfunding, there's lots of different raising network capital platforms out there. How did you choose the one that you did?
So everyone's criteria is going to be different. We did, I think almost 3 years ago, we did a raise on PieShell, which is no longer in existence. We did do a very successful raise on PieShell, and it was not an equity raise. It was basically a perks-based raise, which many people are familiar with. You put in a minimum investment, you're going to receive a discount on your goods or free stuff, or it just depends on how you design your raise. I really felt like with the valuation we have and the amount of money we wanted to raise, that was not appropriate. I didn't think going out and trying to, and again, this is what was right for us. What with going out to raise, our full goal is $1 million, and giving out perks, I didn't think that was going to get it done. And so we agreed that we would put equity on the table, that if we wanted to seriously take this company where we think it can go and fill the hole in the marketplace that still exists today, and we wanted serious investors, both strategic and financial, then we had to put the equity on the table. So equity crowdfunding, that then narrows the choices out there. I think Start Engine is backed by some pretty powerful people. Security is always an issue that I'm quite wary of. I value my investors and the people who have decided to take a chance on us. The integrity of the platform is critical. That was a big issue for us. The vetting process, their attention to detail regarding compliance, all of that went into our decision-making. And we ended up on Start Engine. So there we are.
So do you and your brother, have you put your own personal funds into the company? And do you have any angel investors or any other investors right now besides you and your brother?
So we do have some convertible note holders, and they're out there. Depending on how the raise unfolds, will impact, how they convert and what their equity ultimately converts at. We launched the company with our own money. We do not service any loans. We do not have any credit card debt. I run the company off of our revenue and sales, which is extremely difficult to do. And it's not something I recommend. I really wanted to test the market to see if we had product acceptance. And to do that, we had to put a certain number of things in place platform-wise to get the product up and out the door. So I turned the revenue switch on pretty early. I started the company in May of 2016. We sold our first coffee cake on Amazon in January of 2017. I panicked. We backpedaled a little bit because I was like, uh-oh, we're not quite that ready. And then we kind of went back at it in April of 2017 once I sort of figured out some of the gaps in our process. And we've I mean, in the pandemic, our business doubled. We have an amazing I-95 corridor distributor who has, I think, 5 distribution centers on the East Coast. Love them, national convenience distributors. I'm sure they're out there watching. We love you guys. They've been a great partner. And as we grow, we hope to have more and more partners like that. But coming out of the gate, self-funded, and not having raised the capital we need slows us down, especially when we don't take it on any debt. So we are step by step, chess move by chess move, trying to move ourselves into a position to crush it. But we're going to have to get funding.
Okay, so let me ask you, get the 250,000, let's hope. What will you do with that? You said you needed to get into the CPG space. Specifically, can you define that for me?
Sure. So first of all, I will take a breath.
Okay, take a breath. Do you need a sip of water?
But I might have like a sangria. And then we will re-engineer our packaging. So as we've been in market and been on store shelves, we've obviously learned a lot. And our job is to make it very easy for our retail partners to merchandise our product, for our demo teams to test and sample the product. We have like an 85% try and buy conversion rate. We've got to make it easy for the demo teams to execute. So we're going to revamp the packaging. We will bring on a more sophisticated demo team and group of people so that we are moving cases through the store on a weekly basis. And it's not just the Jen show, because I can only be in one place at one time. Amazing. I don't know. Yeah, it is. I can't seem to solve that. And then we will lean into production. I want to bring our cost of goods sold down, which allows me to then move more money into marketing and advertising and support our retailers. I can't do that if I can't get out of the test phase of our manufacturing. I've got to push us into volume. We can't, on our new line, we can manufacture 14,000 coffee cakes in a shift, which is a massive leap for us. And it pulls those cost of goods way down, and it frees up a lot of cash. And we can be much more agile when we have inventory on hand to, if Whole Foods, if you're listening, when you call and order your first pallet of coffee cakes, I want to be able to deliver it within 48 hours. To do that, the line has to be running every week.
So Jennifer, so let me just interject. You do not have a co-packer. You have your own manufacturing facility?
Both. We have an R&D facility because I'm very nervous to relinquish all control of manufacturing yet. I'm going to have to do it. And we have a co-manufacturer. I cannot produce at that rate of 14,000 coffee cakes in a shift in our R&D facility. That is done in a much more awesome, super fantastic facility, still in New York. And we love our partners there, and they are fantastic. And we're in love. So those two things are still running at the same time.
But you want to convert to producing it all yourself. Is that correct? Mm-mm. Or you want to have your co-packer do it all?
Yeah. I want to shift everything into our co-manufacturer. The level of expertise, the access to ingredients and to other subject matter experts, I can't ever match that. Right. They're phenomenal. Their certifications are extraordinary. I'm not going to get there in this lifetime. So I'd rather leverage the skill set and the expertise of great partners and forge great relationships than try to go vertically integrated and build all of that on my own. If I try to do that on my own, now I need $4 million. That's not happening. However, if we can get the 250, we're up and running full bore. I'm out there selling. I'm out there working with a demo team. I'm out there doing the work on R&D. My mom has 6 more SKUs she wants to put in the line. I've told her, pump the brakes, lady. We are not launching any more products until we move everybody over.
Right.
Our ginger snaps should be ready to bake, not ready to eat. They're a fabulous bake at home product. It takes 16 minutes and you're baking something that smells beautiful and is delicious and ready to eat in your home. It's absolutely the right experience for consumers. The brownies,
they're really good. They're really good. I mean, I actually had some friends over and I gave them some brownies for dessert. I had made dinner and they all liked them too. I really liked them. This is the chocolate fudge brownie. And I like the fact that they're individual brownie bites because somehow I feel like I'm not eating as much when I eat just one. And they're only 120 calories.
I know. The brownie bites they will, I'm sure, eclipse the sales of the coffee cakes, although we do have our coffee cake bite, which we have not released yet, which is it's the same portion size, roughly the same calories, still fabulous. And that I can't wait to release because there are mandates for us as we look to the future of what we're trying to achieve. Sustainable packaging and being responsible manufacturing stewards in the United States is number one. Number two is a clean label. You may know this, maybe 6 months ago, the butter manufacturers and gurus decided that unsalted butter didn't have a long enough shelf life. So they started putting, quote unquote, natural flavors into the butter to add preservatives, and they don't declare anything except natural preservatives on their label. That was a red flag to me. We don't ever put natural flavorings in our products. If we use cinnamon, it says cinnamon. If we use vanilla, we use pure vanilla extract, and it says so. So we went back and reformulated because we have salt in our products. So I said, okay, we're going to use salted butter, which has no funny business in it. We're going to take some of the salt out and rebalance the recipe. So salt is coming from the butter. We're putting salt in it, same amount of salt coming from different sources, no funny business. That's how closely we're looking at everything we put in these products. So if it's in here, it says it's in here. We don't hide it underneath anything.
No, and that's one of the reasons I like to have clean products and clean, because Luvafoodie's whole premise is eat clean, drink clean, be well, and stay well. And that's so important to me. And that's really what consumers want out there. So let's talk a little bit about distribution. Where do you have the coffee cake? Because this is your signature item. This is the main item right now. Where do you have it in distribution, both at retail and online? And let's talk a little bit about that. So if I'm watching and I'm a grocery store and I'm in California, where can I buy you? If I'm a consumer and I want to buy it for myself or my friends or my family, where can I buy it?
So I'll answer the second part first, naturally. Amazon and our website are the easiest place to buy all of our products if you're a consumer. I know no one likes to pay for shipping. There's not much I can do about that right now. We have avoided raising our prices. I know everyone is feeling the pinch right now, and hopefully we're turning the corner, but we have held on our pricing. So we are happy to extend that to our shoppers. We want our product to be accessible. We're doing the very best we can. So Amazon.com and nycoffeecake.com, you can shop for all of our products. For distributors, as I mentioned, on the I-95 corridor, which is basically Maine to Florida, you can go to National Convenience Distributors. They're also known as Harold Levinson, J. Pollup. They have a couple of, it's a family of, and a distribution network who I mentioned we love. And so certainly you can order from them. They're fantastic. And we drop ship to our wholesale accounts all over the country. If you have a distributor that you're using that you love, we're happy to meet them and launch a relationship with them. But we service coffee shops all over the country, restaurants, grocery stores. We drop ship either by the case or the pallet, depends on how they're ordering. Ships frozen, can be refrozen. The cookies, of course, don't ship frozen, but the brownies and the coffee cake do. And that's where we are at this point in our distribution. We're growing. We're on, and I should say for wholesale, we're on Fair.com, Mabel, UNFI Community Marketplace.
Are you in with UNFI as a distributor or KeHE? Sorry.
UNFI, we're like babies, test subjects. So we're on their community marketplace. We haven't hit the full wholesale catalog yet. So you have to go through their community marketplace, which allows you to, I think that there's no minimum. So you could just come and buy a case of coffee cakes and you don't have to hit their minimum order. We have not graduated to the big trucks yet, but we're trying.
Okay. So if I'm in California, or have you heard of Pod Foods?
Mm-hmm.
Are you in with them?
Mm-mm.
We
could be.
You could be. So if I'm like out west, or I'm down south, like in Texas or something, how you don't have any distributors right now that service the West Coast or the East Coast. What about the Midwest?
Mm-mm. All of our proprietors are buying direct, wholesale direct, and we're dropping into them.
Great.
And we're happy to onboard with a distributor. You know the game. It takes time. They have to find us. It's just a process.
I do know the game, everybody. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to go there.
It is a game.
Mm-hmm.
Enough said.
What are your, so I'm not out east, but like I have a dream account. So listen, buyers at Wegmans, I want to be in your stores. Are you in Wegmans?
Yeah, no. We have been through the vetting process. We have not heard a yes or no. We'd love to be at Wegmans. Their clients, I'm sure, I'm shipping to their clients. I don't know why. It's a waste of money. They should just carry our product and be done with it. So same with, it's hard. Fresh Direct. I can't imagine why they're not picking us up. Fresh Direct, if you're listening. It's
everybody, if you're listening, call us. We're ready. Right?
Listen, it's a lot of who you know. It's a lot of patience. If you believe in your product and you know that it's good and your consumers are coming back for it, it's going to break your way. It just takes an enormous amount of patience. And I'm a New Yorker, born and raised. We don't come with patience. They don't give that to us in there when you're baking. So I've had to manufacture mine.
Yeah. Well, you have to be, as an entrepreneur and as a solo entrepreneur and as a woman entrepreneur, you have to have a huge amount of tenacity. I mean, I was in sales my entire career, and every manager, when they would do my review, they're like, Michelle's very tenacious. Michelle's tenacious. And you have to be. I mean, so until somebody says stop emailing me or stop calling, you continue to call that buyer or email that buyer the presentation over and over and over, because that's sales. And you and I are both salespeople. At the end of the day, we've got great product, clean product, but we are in sales. And until you get it in the consumer, and that starts with the retailer, to be honest. And it's knocking on a lot of doors, and it's not giving up and believing in your brand and believing in yourself. And the days that you are having a tough day, I go for a walk, or I just take a deep breath, or I
drink some
coffee. I just, Yep.
Yeah. I had a boss once who told me, and for all my bosses out there, I have listened to everything you've ever said to me, even if you thought I wasn't listening. He said to me once, you're not actually selling until you've heard no. So I go back to that repeat order rate again, right? Most people are willing to take a chance. Most people are willing to try something. Most people are willing to read your deck via email. That's not the end of the work. That's just the beginning. Now you have to take it, all the way until the ink is dry on the piece of paper. So, almost closed isn't closed.
No. So Jennifer, who are your largest customers out east as far as brick and mortar?
Brick and mortar, I would say largest brick and mortar. Are you including restaurateurs and coffee shops? I mean, that's a tough question for me to answer. So North Shore
Farms,
stores.
Grocery.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of things that you would know.
Well, even if I don't know them, I mean, I might know of them.
So North Shore Farms, Rising Tide. We have some private label accounts that are great accounts for us. We have a lot of coffee shop clients, a lot of single unit retailers who want emerging brands. We have not cracked the code on the chains yet. The number of convenience stores we are in through national convenience distributors is quite large. but they're great accounts. They're single unit accounts. So listing them off is difficult because they're not going to mean anything. So I'd say collectively, the largest account we have is through national convenience distributors. That group of accounts is our biggest account. And then I would say North Shore Farms, Rising Tide Market. And these accounts have been buying from us for 4 or 5 years. Like, these are solid, real accounts that every 15 days we're filling orders. And that's a great turn for us. And then the coffee shops, it's the same thing. A lot of single unit proprietors, they want great, great premium baked goods. They have gluten and nut-free consumers because everybody does. And they want to be able to serve them without compromise. It shouldn't be, oh, I have this over here. You know, it should be, do you want a coffee cake? It's hard for me to keep them on the shelf. Let me get you the last one. That's how it should be. So hopefully that answers that question. It's a tough one until I can say Whole Foods. You know, I don't have a name that's going to resonate with everyone. But Whole Foods, you could call me today, and then I could call Michelle back.
So Jennifer, have you done any of the expos, Expo West or Natural Food, any of the food shows, fancy food show right out in East, you know, New York every year is the summer fancy show?
The answer to that is unfortunately no. And we ended up there because we did not have retail packaging until October of 2019. And then COVID shut down. So we were left, we pivoted and we took that packaging and we used it to drive our sales online, which we had to do anyway because wholesale was effectively shut down. So we, coming out of the pandemic, it's really the first time we've been able to showcase our packaging or even consider going to a trade show. I can't book us into a trade show unless we have capital. That's a big, big nut. That's anywhere between $10,000 to $40,000 to properly execute a trade show all in. That's not even in my $250,000. That's in my $1 million budget. I would definitely do Expo East West. They're great shows. You meet a ton of people. We should definitely be there. Not happening without a budget.
Right. So where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Not making coffee cakes personally. No, we should be at 50 million. Like our 5 year, I'm 3 years off of my 5-year plan already because of the pandemic and the quote unquote recession. So we have a lot of catching up to do. How I've always felt about this business, and particularly because we sell cake and brownies and things that people love up, down, left, right in the continental United States. I don't care what your stripes are. You love cake and you love brownies and everyone wants a sweet baked goods. We will leap, which is why the co-manufacturing partnership is so critical for us. Once we light that switch, it will be a very fast uptake on distribution and sales. So I honestly feel that in 5 years, we should be well past, all kidding aside, well past 10 to 20 million in sales a year. If we get funded. If we're not funded, then I'm right where I am right now.
So do you have an exit strategy? Like, say I'm an investor and I'm watching this show and independent of your crowdfunding, but you know, I'm an investor and I said, geez, I really want to invest in her company. What would you plan to sell in 5-10 years? I mean, is that something?
The plan has always been to, I have my eye on 5 companies in particular that are not doing a good job in innovation and gluten-free, nut-free, premium baked goods that are actually edible. I have my eye on them. I try to make sure I'm in front of them, reading about them, working on that. The exit strategy is to sell the company. We have to hit a certain, obviously, threshold of sales for that to be palatable for me, my brother, and my investors. But that is definitely where we're headed. We always thought the brand could be big enough, attractive enough, and have enough room left for a buyer, because that's really the key to selling successfully. No one wants to buy a company that's hit the peak of its maturity. You want to know that you have room left to make money for the new ownership. So we know where we need to be attractive enough to buy and have room enough for them to make more money. And that comes down to SKU expansion and distribution room and all kinds of stuff, which we absolutely have worked out in my little head. And it's there, sitting there, waiting. Again, we've got to get over this hurdle.
So I'm going to ask you a difficult question. Is there, if you don't get funding, and we have to just go down the path of what if, is there a plan B? Like, would you say, because you've been doing this about as long as I've been doing, 8 years for me. Mm-hmm. Is there a plan B, or I just can't, do this anymore?
Unfortunately, the plan B is we would have to close. At some point you have to be able to say, we have a model, we have a budget, we know what it takes to make the product, we know what it takes to sell the product. If we don't have enough capital to move forward, there is no company. And I'm not willing to onboard an enormous amount of debt, which a lot of people do. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. A lot of people, there are a lot of case studies out there of companies that built themselves on credit card debt. First of all, the game has changed in the past 5 years, 10 years. The ability to build a company on credit card debt it's just not the same as it was. And the other thing that's changed significantly when you launch a business today is the management of payables. So historically, I worked for my family's company. My great-grandmother founded a company in 1926. See, it's in my DNA. And I had the chance to work for my family for 3 years in Florida. And one of the things we did every week religiously, it didn't matter. The building could be burning down, but we still had a payables and receivables meeting. You looked at your payables, you looked at your receivables, you decided who are you going to pay, when, and how, et cetera, et cetera. We don't get to do that today. Everything is on auto pay. I would say 80% of the partners, suppliers, vendors that it takes for me to run the business, from accounting software to Amazon to everybody, they all take their money. There's no other way around it. So how you manage cash flow and balance out receivables against payables is a whole different world than it was. The revenue that we have now, we manage against our nut, and we have all these things factored into it. It leaves us no room to do anything. Right. So you have to have access to working capital. And again, I don't put credit cards in the category of working capital. So you've either got to get a grant or a bridge loan or raise equity, do it through equity or something. It's just a different game than it was. It is an entirely different dynamic to run a company today, given the pressures on the cash flow that didn't exist then in the same way, in the same speed. It's just...
Well, it is very challenging. And I'm so glad that you were able to share your story today. Tell us if I'm a retailer again, how can I get a hold of you? If I'm a consumer again, just shout out your information again, and
we'll go from there. So our social media handle and our website handle is NY Coffee Cake. nycoffeecake.com pretty much gets you anywhere. Our corporate number is 516-744-0020. I think it's actually a pretty great number. So you can reach us there. And then you can email taster, T-A-S as in Sam, T-E-R, taster at steinerscoffeecakeofnewyork.com. Yes, that's a long email. Yes, my brother hates it. That's what it is. And so you can pretty much find
I love it.
Yeah, what am I going to do about it? That's the name of the company, Steiner's Coffee Cake of New York.
Yeah. And Jennifer, what if I want to invest? Tell me again about the investing platform you're on.
So startengine.com, Mr. Wonderful is one of the executive board. He is.
Okay.
So startengine.com. And when you're on their platform, you can just search Steiner's Coffee Cake of New York, and you will see us there. We have a great video up there. It really tells you a lot about the company, where we are, what we've accomplished, and we've accomplished a lot. And the updates are pretty interesting too, because there's some information about current sales, things that have happened, you know, in the past 6 months. I try to keep that pretty current. So it's interesting. Even if you just want to know a little more about us, it's quite thorough out there on Start Engine.
Right, right. Well, I know I have a lot of friends that have gluten issues. They're gluten, free. And so to all my gluten-free friends, I know this is a coffee cake that you would love. And I also know these little chocolate brownie bites are delicious whether you're gluten-free or not. Both of them are great whether you're gluten-free or not. So I encourage everybody who's watching today to go to Jennifer's website, order from her, because obviously if you order direct, you're going to make more money than if you go to Amazon. So, let's support Jennifer today. Let's have a sweet week, everybody. And Jennifer, in 35 days, I want an email or an update or a text or something from you knowing if you made your $250,000 goal.
Well, it would be my pleasure to come back on and share that. Be great. So, yeah. Let's mark that down.
Let's support Jennifer, everybody out there. That's what this show is all about. I do this. It's my time. It's my way of giving back to everybody who's an entrepreneur, especially all the female entrepreneurs, the solo entrepreneurs, people in the food space. This is hard stuff. I get it. I live it. I breathe it every day. And the only way I could find a sense of helping other people is to have this show so other people can share their story, their journey. And it also kind of gives me a camaraderie that we're not alone, even though it feels some days like I'm on an island all by myself.
You're not by yourself.
Yeah. But and so having this show rejuvenates me. That's what I get out of it. I feel empowered, and I hope everybody who's watching feels empowered and has that motivation to keep going, because that's what it's all about. If you have to have somewhat of a tough skin, you're going to be an entrepreneur. If you're in sales, you can't be afraid of rejection, because rejection happens every minute of the day.
Every day.
Every day. And, lots of days you just have to say, well, okay, that's your choice, but there's lots of satisfying days when people thank you for creating your product, when people are thankful that you're in their stores, thankful for the partnerships that we have established. And so obviously the good outweighs the bad, or we wouldn't be here right now.
That's right.
Right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jennifer. Everybody have a great week, and we will see you next Monday.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.